450 million people are suffering from a mental health related illness. 1 in 4 people in the world are affected. Men accounted for 3/4 of all the UK deaths by suicide. Among women and girls aged 16 to 24, 19.7% of those questioned admitted to self-harming. Hi guys, it's JT here and welcome to the JT Leadership Podcast, a podcast where I take everyday challenges, simplify them and provide you with the tools to overcome any challenge. This podcast has one outcome, and that is to have a positive impact on your life by bringing leadership to your life. Season 2 of the JT Leadership Podcast is about a very important message. It is about something that affects every single one of us, and that is the importance of mental well-being. Throughout this season, I will be discussing why mental well-being is so important and some of the steps that you can take to help build a mentally resilient mind. Things that I've done, tools that I've done and seen other people do, which have had a profound impact and changed our lives. In season 1, I discussed how leadership is not just for CEOs, businessmen and women, and high-level managers. The abilities and skills that are demonstrated in everyday leaders can apply to your life. And these can apply to building a mentally resilient mind as well. In this episode, I will be discussing why paying attention to mental well-being is so important. Not just for yourself, but your team, your relationship, your loved ones. It is around everything we do, and it is such an important aspect that we must pay attention to. This episode will cover the following 2 questions. Why is mental well-being important? And 2 really powerful tools that help me take control of my own mental well-being. So without further ado, let's get into Season 2, Episode 1, the importance of mental well-being. I want you to focus and pay attention to the following things I'm about to tell you. These statistics shocked me. The latest statistics from the World Health Organization, so the WHO, in October 2019 show that 450 million people are suffering from a mental health related illness. Their research shows that 1 in 4 people in the world are affected. That means someone you know, if you have a family of 4, someone you know is suffering from mental health issues. In 2018 in the UK, men accounted for 3/4 of all the UK deaths by suicide. And a survey carried out in 2014 showed that among women and girls aged 16 to 24, 19.7% of those questioned admitted to self-harming. I want you to let that sink in. If you have a sister or a daughter, they are likely to self-harm throughout their life. If you have a father or a brother, there is a strong chance that they could commit suicide. As I speak, I'm aware of 2 people who went to my school who have committed suicide. 2 men. Absolutely devastating for the people that knew them closely. Mental health issues affect every single one of us. Now, my story is not on that scale, but I want to share with you a little bit about myself. Now, I always thought of myself as someone who was quite headstrong, quite motivated, driven, and I didn't really see myself as someone who'd be affected by mental health issues. But early on in my life, in my career, when I was in a job that I wasn't really enjoying, I found myself demotivated, lacking ambition, lacking drive. I was waking up at the very last minute, to the point where I was getting to work at the very last minute. Often I was late and I wouldn't even care. At the time, I just thought I wasn't interested in my job, but that was having a serious impact on my life. For me, mentally, I wasn't driven. I was waking up late. I was staying up late. I was coming home from work. I wasn't exercising, wasn't eating right. I was just eating crap food. I was going out 2-3 times a week, drinking. And at that time where mental health awareness wasn't very publicized, I didn't think much of it until later on in my career when these things started to become more evident and more known to me. I then looked back on myself and said, actually, I was in a place where I was suffering from a mental health issue. Not on the scale of the stats that I've been talking about earlier, but still on a smaller scale, but yet affected nonetheless. What I realized was that these mental health issues that I was, what I would say suffering, but maybe not suffering, but I was aware of at the time, was stopping me from being who I was as a person. Like I said, I was lacking ambition, I was lacking drive, I wasn't investing in myself, I wasn't focusing on my own happiness. I was abusing my body through other means, such as drink and not exercising and bad food. And it was only when I became aware of the fact that this was an issue did I decide to do something about it. Mental health issues can come in any form. That it can happen to everyone and can derive from pretty much anything. For example, money problems, family problems, social status problems, the way we were raised by our parents or the pressure put on us by our parents, our childhood, school pressures, work pressures, social media pressures, the fear of missing out, competing with other people, for example, siblings. If you're growing up as a sibling household and maybe there's an older child or a younger child doing better than you, you're comparing yourself with them constantly because maybe that's how your parents make you feel. There are so many ways that we can feel pressure which can lead to mental health issues. As people and as leaders, there is one thing we need to realize. Being dismissive of the problem is pure ignorance. We need to be aware of the issue. And this is awareness of ourselves, mental health issues within ourselves, of our partners, if you have children, of your children, if you're a leader of a team, your team, but also the people around you. Maybe people that you're not in direct contact with. Maybe it's a colleague within your workplace environment who's not directly in your team, but you see them having a bad day or they just don't look right. Maybe don't ignore that problem. The first step is being aware that there is an issue, and this issue is all around us. Now, what I want to do is I want to share with you a couple tools that really worked for me. Now, I want to make clear, I am by no means a medical practitioner. I'm not a doctor. And every single person is different and every single person handles their own issues in their own way. These are just tools that have worked for me. And when I've shared these tools with other people, they have worked for other people too. My personal belief is that we all have the power within ourselves to heal and grow for ourselves. We just need the right tools. We need to discover what works for us. And like I said, these two tools are things that worked for myself. So tool one, this is self-investment. If I go back to the earlier story where I was in a really bad headspace, and like I said, I wasn't motivated, I wasn't driven, I was waking up late, I was going to bed late, I was abusing my body, I was abusing my mind by not growing, not learning. What I decided to do was invest in myself first. I invested in learning. I invested in developing and growing myself. And what I learned from this is when we stop caring about everyone else and what everyone thinks about us, there is only one person to think about, and that is ourselves. By focusing on ourselves, we give ourselves the opportunity to learn, to grow, to heal ourselves. And like I said previously, the first step into self-investment was awareness of the problem. I then went on to getting out of my comfort zone, doing things that were not what I was used to doing. So this is learning, growing, going out to events, meeting people, networking, learning a new skill. At this time, something that really worked for me was I applied for a new job. I realized that the environment that I was in was actually conducive to my problem. So I applied for a new job and it took me a while. I eventually moved into a better environment with a better, more collaborative, more helpful team, and it really changed my life. Instead of me worrying about what everyone within that previous environment was thinking about me, I decided to put myself first. I invested in my own future and myself, and that took me to the next level. And the second tool was the power of my positive language and physiology. Now, Tony Robbins speaks about this a lot. He talks about how you cannot underestimate the power of positive language, and I completely advocate that. I completely changed my language. I stopped using negative words. I stopped gossiping. I stopped using words like stress, worry, stopped complaining, stopped gossiping. I stopped having those conversations where I was getting sucked in. I started using affirmations. Like, people would say to me that you're just covering over the cracks. But mentally, when I was waking up and I was priming myself, I was putting my head in a different place altogether. And then changing my physiology. I started back at the gym again. By going to the gym, becoming stronger, my physique was changing, my body shape was changing. This gave me confidence. So what did I learn from this? From positive language and changing my physiology, I learned that instead of allowing myself or subjecting myself to suffering, I gave myself the opportunity to reframe situations and always find the positive outcome. I learned that I could switch my mood from sad to happy by positive language. I learned that by going to the gym, I can reset my mind. And I learned that by eliminating negative words like stress and worry, I wasn't subject to them. I just want to do a quick recap of where we are. Question 1 was about why is mental well-being important? And question 2 was 2 really powerful tools that helped me. So what I've discussed today is that mental well-being has an impact on all of us, whether it's us personally or the people around us, colleagues, teammates, loved ones. We cannot be dismissive of the problem. That is just showing pure ignorance. The power is within you, like it was within me. All I needed to do was find the right tools that worked for me. This helped me create a mentally resilient mind, and I know that by finding the right tools, it can help you too. In the next episodes of Season 2, I'm going to be discussing tools on how to build a mentally resilient mind. These are things that I've learned over the years that have transformed my life. They have allowed me to take control of any situation and turn it from a negative one to a positive one. I really hope that these tools and the value that I've shared can have a positive impact on your life. I feel privileged that you have given your time to listen to Season 2, Episode 1 of the JT Leadership Podcast. I look forward to speaking to you soon in Episode 2, Building a Mentally Resilient Mind, Part 1. Thank you very much for listening. This is JT signing out.